Have you ever had a goal that just seemed impossible? If so, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Notable Peeps podcast, a series that gives attention to remarkable people who are putting on their shoes, doing their best, and believing in the impossible.
All my dreams are coming true.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Notable Peeps podcast. My name's Steph, and I am chatting with Lauren. And Lauren, the way that this podcast starts is that our tagline is put on your shoes, do your best, and believe in the impossible. And has there been a time in your life that you felt like, discouraged with something going on and how you were able to overcome it?
And so, ever since we met, I have been thinking about you. So which time, I just, right. I turned 60 this year, just a month or so ago. Yeah. And I am currently in my life, I'm just out traveling the world. I own only what fits in one backpack. Well, 1.5 backpacks, a little one and a big one. And so, and where that story began is, wow, just like so long ago. As a young woman at 12 or 13 years old, I was in love with my church. And I wanted to be a missionary. A foreign missionary came to visit and was talking about going to foreign lands and spreading the news of love and compassion and kindness and helping and compassion and all this stuff. And that just thrilled me so much. I stood in front of the church and said, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm going to be a missionary. But then a couple of years went past and the leadership of the church changed and the messages changed. And suddenly they weren't love and acceptance and forgiveness, were do this or you'll go to hell. If you have to be a good girl, even though you'll never be good enough. And just all of these lessons that my little 15-year-old mind came to the conclusion that I can't do it. I don't want to do it. So I'm never going to be good enough, not just to be a missionary, but to even be a Christian or to be, in this church. And so I lived many decades very spiritless and feeling worthless. And that manifested in every time I would have success in my career, would land an amazing job, be making a lot of money, be succeeding, right? I would find a way to sabotage it. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, I'm like, I only felt like I deserved this much. And if I got beyond that much, I'd knock my own feet out from under myself. So in 2011, I was at yet another of these spectacular failures. I was bankrupt. I just come out of an awful job, an awful relationship. It was on my sister's couch, just really kind of ready to give up. But she was not in a good place either, and she was about to lose her home. So I didn't really literally live under a bridge. So I picked myself up by my bootstraps and began to recreate my life by escaping to the mountains. I became a hermit for 10 years, and it was the very best thing that I ever did. So while I was there, I just kind of let life be and just learned little things a little at a time. And I wrote a book, and I became a meditation teacher, and I became a life coach, and I just explored and got to know myself. And I would go out into the world and then come back to my mountain, and go out into the world and come back to my mountain, until finally it became time to go out for good and head out on this journey. And now my life is just so incredible. I've been in 10 countries in 20 months. I counted up recently. I've slept in 56 beds since I left on this journey. And, I do as I please. I meet amazing people. I witness beauty and kindness and compassion, and see that the world is not at all the way mass media tries to portray it, right? It's not like that. So, yeah. So over and over and over again, I started again, and this is where I am now.
I mean, your story fascinating. I have some follow-up questions.
Okay, please.
Okay. So when you originally moved to the mountains, are you in a cabin? Are you in a tent? What does that look like? Do you still have a job?
Okay, yes. So, the first thing that I did when at that time of rebuilding my life, I'm like, I could not bear the thought of going to work for another boss. And I wrote down, what can I do? And what are the conditions that I want? Not thinking about what's possible. So I was like, okay, I want something that I know how to do. I'm a professional salesperson, graduated with a degree in advertising, so I can sell advertising, and I don't want a boss, so that means I'm going to be an independent contractor. And am I willing to do that? And then as soon as I had all of that picture put together, a friend connected me with the perfect thing. It was just like very simple. Once I was past the, oh, that's not possible, and onto the, well, what if it was? What if it was possible and this is what it looked like? And then it just came. Right. So I had a small income as an independent contractor. And of course, again, I really was literally bankrupt. And I think you're in the States, right? So bankruptcy in the United States means you can't get a mortgage.
Mhm.
You can't get things like that. But, all right. So with this newly secured independent contractor position, I found a little apartment that was literally 250 square feet in the basement of this little house in Johnson City, near Johnson City, which is the area that I wanted to live in, and moved my dog and my 4 cats into this little place for a year. And then I found the little cabin. Now the cabin had electricity, it had running water, it had internet, but what it didn't have was neighbors. It was 40 minutes from any town. And so,
Oh.
yeah, so isolated, but not off the grid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was able to do my advertising sales independent contractor job from home, just online, mostly by email. How sales progresses all the time. My original sales career, I was driving all around and actually calling on people, but by now it was just email. So I was I was getting by and living on that salary as a salesperson. And in 2014, I looked around at this little paradise I had built. I had brought myself up in like 3 years from nothing, from bankrupt on my sister's couch to absolutely in love with my life, my dog at my feet, sitting in this little paradise on this deck. And that's when I decided that that's what I wanted to do. I circled right back around to that missionary girl, only with a different message that, life can be anything that you want it to be. And it doesn't have to take you decades to figure it out.
No, that's really powerful. And where did you say, so what state is that in?
Johnson City, Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay, so the mountains in Tennessee.
And
Okay, so then, like, you're working from home, you're freelancing, you're creating this life that you love. I mean, in 3 years, that's pretty impressive to go from being bankrupt and, like, having all these things in your life not be what you love to turning that around. And then what made you decide that you wanted to leave your mountain life, and go on this adventure?
so here's the thing. Before I went to the mountain, when I wrote the book Happy and Free on Purpose in 2021, I counted back over my life to see how many times I had moved. And it was
Uh-huh.
about 21 times. So I'd literally lived in a new place for every year of my life, even though I didn't really start that until I was 18. I was very stable when I was with my parents, but then I was already a nomad. I was already an itchy footed wanting to discover things. But all throughout my life, it was a running away, making a mess of my life and running away and starting over, and making a mess and running away and starting over. And so going to the mountain was like the final running away. And it's like, okay, I'm really, really for real this time, starting over from scratch and rebuilding things the way they're meant to be. And I don't know, maybe because I was a little bit older, or maybe because the magic of the mountains, I don't know exactly what the formula was that allowed me to really settle in there and do the work, right? Do the work of getting back in touch with a greater force, a force bigger than me, but that includes me, right? And to restore my sense of self-worth, to restore my confidence, restore my self-esteem, just all of these things that actually prepared me to return to that nomadic life, but now in a way of seeking, not of running away, right?
Wow, that makes sense. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
One thing that I'm curious about, since you were in the mountains of Tennessee, closest people were like 40 minutes away. I think that a lot of people struggle being alone. Like, how are you able to do that?
Mm, it's really interesting. There are people who, yeah, they're just like, I can't even imagine being alone for 10 years, but not everyone needs to be away for 10 years, right? So being alone is something that you can learn an hour at a time. And the magic of that is that if you can be by yourself and be perfectly happy and content and fulfilled and satisfied, then there's no pressure put on anybody else ever again to make you happy. So everyone then that comes into your life is a beautiful partnership and icing on the cake. And you're able to just be together in this. You're responsible for your happiness. I'm responsible for my happiness. And together we make this amazing connection where we can appreciate each other's differences, where we can actually celebrate that I like to do things this way and you like to do things this way. And how cool is that? And we can learn from each other. So I think if you think that you can't be alone, that's kind of a red flag. You should start trying to learn. Maybe it's 5 minutes at a time. Because if you can't, when I was doing all of that running away, the reason it didn't work is because I brought myself with me. All the places that I went, I think there's a country song, wherever you go, there you are. Right?
Mhm.
And so if you're able to figure out a way to be in absolute bliss and joy exactly where you are, then it doesn't really matter what goes on around you, and you can be alone or not. It doesn't really feel like I answered your question.
No, I think that answers it perfectly, when we're at peace with ourselves and, like, how you said that you don't have to run anymore. You're good.
And when I went to it, I didn't go to the mountain going, "Oh, I'm going to stay here for 10 years." I was just kind of doing what I could to try and rebuild my life and rebuild my sanity and doing, the steps that I could do at the time. And then along came a pandemic. So I was already
Mm.
sheltering at home. So like, well, all right, I'll stay a little bit longer. Right. And so and then after all of that, I was kind of dug in, Steph. I was kind of, yeah, I'm happy here. I love my life here. I am all good. But one thing COVID did was kind of pulled the bottom out from under my advertising business. And so I arrived at a choice of whether to go and get another gig like that in that world or to try and focus on this business, the be happy first, the business of my heart, and that's what I wanted to do. So I set out to do that. But in the meantime, I needed to pay the bills. So I was Ubering. I was driving for Lyft. I tried Airbnb my home. I tried all these different things to be able to survive while I built my business, and it wasn't possible. And this is probably going to feel familiar to a lot of people that we're spending all of our time paying for our stuff. And there's no time left over to do the things that we want to do, right? And so it just gradually became very clear that instead of me working to pay for my house, and it was time for my house to fund the next phase of my life. And as painful as it was to let go of my little paradise, that's what I wound up doing, is selling it and using the equity to get me started on this path and on this journey. And that's where I am now. And one of the most magical secrets that I have discovered is that we as human beings need to stop needing to know all the answers. Sometimes there's just questions and they might not have an answer. We, especially like in religion, we're like, this must be what this means. And I'm going to cling to this and I'm going to say this is right and everybody else is wrong. And then we're divided. Whereas if we could all go, maybe that's an answer. Maybe that's an answer. Maybe that's an answer. And we're all free to just keep exploring the question, then there never needs to be any conflict or strife. And, as I said, I'm 60 and I don't know how long I'm going to travel. It might be 5 years. It might be 10 years. It might be forever, right? I have a little bit of an inkling that I want to find a little place to settle in somewhere and create a retreat type place where people can come to me and I can continue to have this beautiful world adventure, but I'm the one sitting still and everyone else is coming to me. But I don't know where, I don't know when, and I really don't know for sure if, just kind of letting life happen. And it's brilliant and things work out in ways that I could never have engineered in a million years. I mean, I could tell you 100 stories of the people that I've met and the places that I've landed in, the way things have just fallen into place through really no effort of my own. Really cool.
I want to hear some of these stories, but before I get into that, I really want to know. You have a bag and a half of stuff. That's it. And as you were talking, I was like, holy cow, like you don't have to really worry about anything yard related. You don't have to worry about anything like house related. Like that is very freeing. But how did you choose which stuff to keep and which stuff to get? Like, was that a difficult process or not really?
It was incredibly difficult, and I sold my house with everything in it, and I mean,
Oh,
towels and dishes and pots and pans. I mean, it was literally someone could step in and run it as a turnkey Airbnb if they wanted to. Now, the people that bought it didn't. They wanted to move in and live there. But I sold everything in the house. I took just a handful of books and some original art and left it with my family, and everything else was gone. Now, as far as what comes with me, I keep waiting for somebody to ask me, what do you wear? How do you prioritize? Yeah. And, and I'm the girl that had 30 pairs of shoes. No, I
yeah.
loved my shoes. And now I have three. One of them are flip flops. Right. So it all comes down to, and you know what? Life comes down to this is that sometimes there's a choice. I can do this or I can do this. And because it's not physically possible to do both. And so which do I want more? And then the other has to go, even if it's really close and even if it really hurts to give. I mean, my dog and my cats, oh my gosh, I loved them so very, very much. But I couldn't stay there with them and do this. And so I found amazing homes for them. They are, oh my gosh, it's so much better for them. So they didn't suffer at all, maybe a minute to say goodbye to me and hello to their new adoring mama. But I suffered. I cried, I missed them still. But those are two things that you can't do at the same time. And I really wanted to get out and see for myself what was happening in the world and get out and see for myself how human beings are relating to one another and how they're relating to spirit and how what are we really doing to the land? And all these questions I wanted to see for myself more than I wanted the stability of one home, more than I wanted the safety of just staying in one place.
So tell me some of these stories. Tell me some of your favorite places that you've gone to. Like, how's this experience been?
Well, absolutely incredibly fantastic. I started out in South America, and so when I was in that part of the world, things are very inexpensive. So I went to Costa Rica. I accidentally landed at a place called Magic Cacao, no, Cacao Magic, literally magic in the title of the place. And I got to do sweat lodge ceremonies there with that community. I just keep running into families and communities that welcome me, right? They're like, oh, hello, we love you. What do you want to see? I'll show you. I'll share. Said England and Ireland and Norway and Vienna and Italy, and just making friends all over these places. Where I am now is people always ask me, "Where's your favorite?" I'm like, "Oh, it's here," until I go somewhere else. But not really because every place is so different. But here in New Zealand, this is video. Can I just show you my view? Is
Yeah.
that possible?
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, that is the Hokianga Harbor. And Mother Nature puts on a show out there all day, every day. And it's absolutely incredible. So there's a ukulele club here that welcomed me, and I'm learning to play ukulele. I've been invited to play cards every weekend down at the cafe, and I go to a meditation group and potluck dinner once a week. My hostess here is like my soul sister. She's organic everything, and yet high tech dehumidifiers and just all of these things that I could never ever have planned for are in place here. She introduced me to all of her friends who are we're like we've known each other forever, right? And I've been here 6.5 weeks, and I'll be here another week and a half. So a total of 8 weeks. And I'm already have all these friends. I'm a member of this community. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's hard to sum up all of that, but I made great friends in Northern England that, and I stay in touch with these people. That we're exchanging messages all the time, and I'm invited to come back and pet sit for them again. And you know what? That's one of the things that we haven't talked about. That's a key point is one of the ways that I pay for my lodging is by pet sitting over here in the expensive part.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be much, much, much more costly if I didn't have that in place. But I recently wrote a whole article entitled, "If I woke up tomorrow a millionaire, I would still be a pet sitter," because it's been the richest part of this journey now.
So expand on that. So if you woke up a millionaire, you would still be pet sitting Is it because you feel more a part of the community, or you love that you're able to be with the animals since you had to leave yours behind? Like, what is that?
All of those things, all of those things. So for a little while, Georgie is my dog, and this is my home, and I'm a part of this family, which is irreplaceable. And the service that I do for these pet owners is so valuable and so priceless. And that's part of why this bond between us is so strong, is because I adore their pets as much as they do. They
Mm.
literally do not have to worry about their pets while they're away. And that's a big thing. I always had trouble when someone was staying with my pets that, oh, they're not taking care of them as good as well as I could. What if they do this? What if they do that? And having the peace of mind that your pets are worshiped and adored it's priceless. And that's also my entry into the community, right? We walk down the street and people know Georgie and they say, "Oh, hi,
Mm.
who are you?" Like, and she's like my entree into the community. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really good point that they know the pets and then they ask who you are. Another thing that I'm curious about is, do you ever get nervous traveling alone as like a woman? Because I feel like that's what holds a lot of gals back from traveling if they want to do it by themselves, because you hear sometimes horror stories.
Yeah. And so that is what is really sad, is that the news and social media and everything pulls out and those things happen. Of course, they happen in the world, but they are very, 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 very rare. What is very common is people are kind, people are courteous, people are generous and interested in one another. And the world is not at all the way the media portrays it to be. Even if, I was talking with the woman yesterday whose son is dating a girl in the Czech Republic. And somebody asked her, they asked him, what's life, what's it like to be in a war-torn country? But not a war-torn country. It's a normal country. Everybody is going about their business. Everybody's living their lives. It is not the way that it looks on television. And I don't know why the powers that be want to keep us all afraid. And I don't know why they want it to keep us fighting, but there's no need. And I wish we would all just stop. If we would all go, you know what? I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to go see for myself. And then you would know. And I haven't felt afraid ever on this journey, except maybe I almost got hit by a car in San Jose, Costa Rica. So in the big, big cities, sometimes it can feel a little bit intense and a little bit scary with all the people and all the cars and all the things. But my solution to that is land, say hi to the city, and get the hell out and go to the country.
Well, talking to you just has been so fascinating. I love you've just created the life that you've wanted, and that, like you said, you did have to sacrifice some things to make this happen, but it sounds like you're just having a ball.
Yeah, absolutely, I am, and the lessons that keep arriving are not needing to have things figured out, not needing to know the end of the story. That's the most freeing thing, because people are, oh well, what if I get sick when I get older and I don't have anywhere to live? What if you don't? What if you get healthier? What if you decide to take amazing care and devotion and love for your body and you get healthier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to know. Well, what if you decide that you're just going to stay put and you get hit by a bus on the way to the grocery store? I mean, we can't know what the future is going to bring. And if we live our lives according to what might happen in a bad way, then we've completely hobbled ourselves and, taken away our own freedom. We've locked ourselves away, and we're the only ones that have the key.
Well, I think that's a great words of wisdom to end on. So thank you so much, Lauren, for chatting with me. And to those of you that have been listening, thank you for pushing play and listening to this episode, because I know there's so many other things that you can be tuning into. So it really means a lot that you wanted to come join me and Lauren for this chat. And as always, remember to continue to put on your shoes, do your best, and believe in the impossible. And I'll catch you next Sunday.
All my dreams are